How's it going, everyone? Javita here with an update or follow-up to my Sapphire mining experiment type thing. And yeah, this has been a pretty interesting experiment. It has some interesting potential conclusions or kind of theories, at least on my part. But yeah, it took about 3 weeks to mine all of this out based off of the natural blocks that I collected. I guesstimate it maybe was about 24 man hours, or I guess I should say Oort hours. I did have, 1 to 2 friends usually helping me when I would work on this, and generally just kind of did it in my free time when I was watching TV or something, so it really wasn't that bad to mine this out. Not as bad as you might think. Certainly probably would have gone a lot faster if I just used bombs, but I don't know, I was kind of lazy when it came to that, I guess. So yeah, if you missed the previous video, I did this to kind of answer a couple of questions. One, I wanted to see how feasible it was to mine Sapphire, which I think it's very feasible. I guess it depends on the mountain that you have. And I also wanted to see how fast Sapphires came back or regenerated, and how the heat map handled all of this, basically. So if you're unfamiliar, what I did is I plotted this entire mountain and then strip mined it. And so the first question I wanted to see was, does the Atlas still consider beaconed resources or resources inside somebody's plotted area? Does the heat map still consider that part of the heat map? And so first video, I was able to confirm that yes, the heat map will still show resources even if they are beaconed. So it's kind of got some pluses and minuses there. If it's not your beacon, you still see all the resources, but then it is nice that you could beacon an area and still be able to see kind of what's sitting on your land, so to speak. The next question I wanted to see, or experiment, was I just wanted to see how responsive the heat map is. I mean, we already know that it only updates once every 24 hours, but could you like completely obliterate the heat map? So I was able to pretty much wipe out the Sapphires for this mountain, at least as far as the heat map was concerned. So the heat map will show if everything is completely died out. And finally, the next thing I wanted to test out was how fast these suckers come back. So I did a before, an after, and then another shot of about 20-ish hours after unplotting the mountain. And so after 20-ish hours, the whole mountain had regenerated, but the heat map was still blank. So either the heat map hadn't updated, which was my theory, or the Sapphires hadn't come back just yet. However, at 30-ish hours after unplotting, the heat map was lit up like nothing had ever really happened. And actually, the present day heat map is dimmer than the 30-hour heat map, basically. So people seem to be coming here pretty regularly to mine these suckers out. And yeah, I was kind of a bit in a hurry, I think, because for some reason I didn't think to record the mountain when it was fully strip mined out. It was kind of impressive to see. But yeah, Varys politely informed me that this is apparently one of the best mountains for Sapphires. So yeah, I kind of took the hint of I needed to hurry up and return it to a mineable location for people. There is a mountain, I think it's actually that one right over there. It's already kind of reserved by a group of players, but I think it's known as the Public Tech Mine, that in theory should be even better for Sapphires. So yeah, it's not necessarily the best mountain. That one certainly looks a lot more attractive, but this one is pretty decent itself. Yeah, I fully strip mined the mountain out, and then afterwards I went back, re-explored it, mined each Sapphire vein out individually, and recorded their location so I could do this. So over here I have a scatter plot of this mountain. So if you kind of look, okay, yeah, it's a little bit touchy. There we go. So if we look kind of straight down at it, you can see it's kind of in this horseshoe pattern. So this is the hollowed out kind of area. if we take a closer look, you can see that the sapphire veins on this side are fairly kind of clumped together. You got these that are pretty close together. These two are certainly close. There's that. But if we look at the other side, you can see that they're pretty evenly spaced out. So I guess you could argue those are vaguely in the same area, but there's not this kind of pairing that is on this other side. And then also there's this kind of strange dead strip right here. So at first glance, I don't really know what's going on with this kind of strip, because the mountain, it does slightly taper in just a little bit, but not this really elongated, skewed pattern. So potentially maybe somebody had just mined on this before I found the mountain, or yeah, I'm really not sure. I guess you could also argue that maybe there's just a large concentration of gravel, sand, and stuff right there, but that, I don't know, that's kind of weak sauce in my opinion. And an interesting theory, at least as to why this side is more clustered and this side is more spread out, is I think in general there's more mountain over here versus over here. And so potentially there's like a certain concentration that is targeted for each chunk as far as resources. And since, I mean, I guess depending on how the chunks actually land, there just might be more rock for the sapphires to spread out. Whereas over here, they're forced to just kind of take what's available in order to achieve a certain level of concentration. That could be complete BS, but it sounds kind of plausible. So arguably you might actually want a skinnier, narrower mountain to mine than, say, a big broad mountain, potentially. Who knows? Certainly, I mean, I guess I could repeat this experiment another like 50 or so times and see how these sapphires are distributed each time, and that would give a much better idea. However, oh my goodness, that would be a crazy amount of time. But basically my conclusion is that you could come at this mountain essentially with bombs and probably clear it out in a decent amount of time. Particularly on this side, if they continue to kind of cluster like this, this seems like it would lend itself pretty nicely to bomb mining. I haven't tried out bomb mining myself. I hear it's amazing, especially on Addoing for finding diamonds. But yeah, you could deploy bombs here and probably come out with a decent amount of tech components, devices, as well as sapphires. I guess the one danger is that you might burn through the mountain faster than you would burn through, say, your persisting pie buff. But yeah, and if you're not familiar with bomb mining, you take the best bomb that you can afford, generally like maybe a diamond. I hear some people use titanium, and eat a persisting type buff, either like persisting loaf or pie would be the best one. And that essentially makes your tool, if you have the durability skills, it'll make your bomb last like 90% longer, which is pretty crazy. But yeah. So I think that about covers it. Oh, another thing I wanted to see, or another theory that I had, was as you can see here, I left the elevations intact. So the highest spawning sapphire was at 170, even though they can technically spawn all the way up to 180. However, the natural surface of the mountain kind of prevents that. So if we jump over here, I have all my recorded values, and at least like the top 10 or so, I recorded the surface altitude, the natural surface of the mountain, and then found basically the difference of where the elevation that I found the sapphire and the surface, and found out that the one that was closest to the surface was still 19 meters or 19 blocks underneath the surface, and the average was more kind of mid-20s. Also, the face of this mountain, as you can see, is kind of tapered a little bit, so this vein was fairly close to the surface as well. did the same thing, kind of scroll down here, and yeah, still kind of low to mid 20s as far as being buried. So naturally, you're going to have to get past like the soil and dirt and at least to get down to rock. But even then, you still need to go down generally like another 10 blocks because it was like 5 to 7 blocks of dirt on top of the rock, kind of minimum. So yeah, I had a kind of a theory that it would be at least 15 blocks. And it sounds like, you know, about 20-ish is probably the earliest you can honestly expect. Maybe it could actually be right at 15, since I was only 4 blocks away with this 19, but yeah. And if we come down here, you can see pretty much all the loot. So yeah, lots and lots of rock naturally, a surprising amount of coal, and my goodness, got 87 tech devices, which actually, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's a decent amount. I kind of halfway expected to get more than that. But over here, we got nearly 500 tech components. That's pretty crazy. I mean, I guess this is the ideal conditions to find those. I did target the medium coal, but as you can see, didn't get just a whole lot. Naturally, we're too high to get hard coal, and this is just the soft coal I accidentally got. But I guess I'll just skip over to the star of the show. I did manage to get practically 360 sapphires. So time investment wise, maybe not the best way to mine sapphires. However, if you deploy bombs, you could probably get a really decent amount in a relatively short period of time. So, and something else that quite surprised me, I almost forgot to talk about, was that when I had a look at the mountain after it regenerated, there was a shocking number of tech devices, components, as well as sapphires just on the exposed cliff faces. So that was pretty awesome. I was able to grapple around and get quite a bit more of those valuable resources. So my current understanding of world regeneration is that it takes about 13-ish hours for the blocks themselves to regenerate, but then there's a separate process that then fills in resources into those blocks. So this kind of suggests to me, or so at least one potential interpretation of this is that the new resources are going to favor the blocks that have not been disrupted or mined out. So in other words, if you mine tunnels in the exact same pattern each time, you're probably not going to necessarily find all that much, or maybe not as much as you would if you varied up your tunnels a bit. Another thing is that, well, I just removed essentially everything of value out of this mountain, and basically everything had an equal chance to get picked, including these face blocks. To my understanding, resources only take into account what's above them. They don't really take into account if they're exposed on the sides or anything like that. I could certainly be wrong, but yeah, there was like literally runs of tech devices. It was kind of crazy. It'd be like 2 or 3 in a row, all exposed on the surface, as well as of course sapphires and tech components. So pretty impressive and something that I was not expecting. So I guess the moral of the story is if you mine out a mountain similar to this with these exposed faces, it would probably be lucrative to come back about a day later after it's regenerated and just see if there's some easy resources to pick clean, because, well, it essentially was a part of your hard work of clearing the mountain in the first place. So otherwise, I guess you're leaving some nice juicy bits for an explorer. Okay, well, I think that covers this pretty well. I actually had a lot of fun doing this. For some reason, I love taking a mountain and turning it into Swiss cheese. I'm just sorry I didn't think to record it. I don't know why. Like I said, I guess I was in a hurry. But yeah, and I also apologize to anybody that I might have inconvenienced, you know, just like, oh my goodness, here's a mountain. It's partially strip mined. I can see sapphires. And yeah, I think it was probably a whole month that it was maybe beaconed. And so I apologize if I frustrated or inconvenienced anybody, but it is fully available to mine. As you can see here, I did leave these plots at the top here to reserve it, I guess to just prevent somebody else from coming along and doing what I did and reserving the whole mountain for themselves. So at least for the foreseeable future, this will be fully available for anybody to exploit. Anyway, enough rambling. This was Javita. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button if you liked the video, subscribe if you want to see more like this, and if there's anything you didn't like, please let me know down below. Also, if you like my channel and want to get cool perks, check out my Patreon page. Until next time, peace.